Welcome, my friends. Welcome to this live Tuesday edition. Already the first day of June 2010. Almost halfway into 2010. It is amazing. Obviously, we're going to be talking a lot about the Israeli commando takeover of at least 7 ships in the Mediterranean international waters yesterday. And I'm going to look at this from every different angle and from different perspectives. I saw press reports out from Israel saying that there were heavily armed men shooting at them. The evidence is pointing towards that being a lie. But then some of the A groups were on record saying that they didn't fight in any way, and I even saw videos posted by Al Jazeera and Press TV stating that. Then you'd watch the video, you could clearly see people beating Israeli commandos over the head with lead pipes, what appears to be steel or lead-heavy pipes. The issue is, though, is the raid illegal under international law? If Israel could prove that there were weapons on board, then any government can run blockades if they are given authorization by their own government to do so. The question is, how will that stand up in the international community? But nevertheless, images of commandos and attack boats, patrol boats, bullhorning and firing flashbangs and tear gas and what appears to be machine gun fire onto the ships before the people fight back with lead pipes. The media is going to call the commandos heroes. They're going to call people fighting commandos with machine guns cowards. Just like if the government of Israel or the U.S. nukes Iran, if Iran fires back at those B-1 bombers or on the B-2 bombers with a slingshot, with a spitball thrower. In fact, if Iran so much as cussed at the nuclear fireball coming at them, there will be screaming and yelling, and the media will be pulling its hair out, saying we have never seen such an evil. If the Iranians take shelter in bunkers as nukes are dropped on them, that will be called an act of terrorism. If they come and stand in the city squares and worship the hydrogen bombs as they detonate 1,000 feet above them in an airburst, that will be called terror. If they take their shirts off so the fireball can kill them better, that will be called an act of psychopathic demon terrorism. You have to understand how this works. Those lead pipes are now nuclear weapons on board those cruise ships. People with pipes basically have the equivalent of the sword of Damocles. A lead pipe is now the most powerful thing in the universe. It's more powerful than a black hole. It's more powerful than a supernova. It's more powerful than the Big Bang. Nothing is more powerful than a pipe. You understand that? And nothing is more satanic and evil, and nothing is more destructive. Okay, now I'm really going off the deep end with sarcasm today, my friends. You know, I really don't want World War III to start. Have you noticed all of a sudden the north and south of the Korean Peninsula are on the verge of war, nuclear war? Have you noticed all of a sudden Israel's got nuclear subs off the coast threatening to nuke Iran? Have you noticed all of a sudden the banks are collapsing all around us and there's all sorts of bizarre financial implosions happening? Have you noticed just everything's happening at once? Wonder why that is. Because there's a quickening taking place. And I don't want anybody to die. Not Americans, not people in Israel, not Iranians, not Gazans. You know, how do you get off this ride? We'll be right back. June 1st, 2010. Thank you for joining us. Mike Rivero comes on once a month. And he, of course, is someone who follows the whole Palestinian/Gaza situation very, very closely. So it should be interesting to get his take on the attack on the Flotilla yesterday, and there's no doubt it is a military attack. I've watched Sky News footage from Press TV. I've watched Al Jazeera footage. I've watched the internet feeds that were recorded live and transmitted over cell phone off of the ships via Skype video. And the Israelis pull up in their gunboats, and they, bare minimum, begin firing tear gas rounds and flashbang grenades, which can really hurt you. In fact, they can give you third-degree burns over your entire body. They have killed people a few times, but normally it's a child. Here in the U.S., they're used on almost every SWAT team entry, and they've been thrown into cribs and into children's beds and blown their faces off, caught them on fire. You've of course seen that on the news. The point is, that's a bare minimum. Now, the Arab news and the pro-Palestine news, they have clearly been doing some spinning as well. So have the Israelis. They say they were fired on with machine gun fire immediately, before the ships even boarded. I find that hard to believe, but Israel is bold. Israel is wild. In fact, I've seen quotes out of the Knesset about we have to act like wild dogs, mad dogs, to scare the Arab nations. So when you hear Ahmadinejad quoting them as mad dogs, that's a quote out of the Knesset about we're cornered. They're all against us, so we've got to intimidate them by acting like mad dogs, or rabid dogs is another quote. So that might be the case, but because I happen to have done a little research about naval blockades and boarding parties, the way the Israelis do it, the way the British does it, the way the U.S. does it, it's all basically exactly the same. And that's what happened here. But we're going to go over every angle of this and the geopolitical shockwaves that have been caused by it. But then more importantly, we're going to discuss what this is distracting us from, what this is diverting us from. What else is going on in the world right now that the threat of nuclear conflagration on the Korean peninsula is distracting us from, the threat of nuclear conflagration between Israel and Iran that could happen at any time, all of these financial implosions that are taking place as well. What does all of this serve as a distraction for? Well, they all serve as distractions for each other. That's what they serve as. I mean, here's just some of the insane headlines. Israel stations nuclear missile subs off Iran. Times of London. Here's a AP article. Syria conducted nuclear experiments, IAEA document. Israeli subs with nukes in the Gulf. Jerusalem Post. Turkish sources, Israeli advanced target assassination list found on Flotilla. Who knows if that's true? I mean, that's just some of the type of crazy information going on. I mean, here's another one out of the Associated Press. Activists send a new boat to challenge Gaza blockade. So this is accelerating. And blockades have started a lot of wars in the past. That's why a month ago, Congressman Ron Paul said on the floor of the House of Representatives that a blockade of Iran for food, medicine, and gasoline, because they can only refine about half the oil they need, half the fuel they need from oil. That's why they want nuclear reactors that aren't weapons related. That's on record. That's an act of war. I mean, it is an act of war. It's an act of war to have a blockade around Gaza. Can you imagine those hundreds of thousands of people? In fact, guys, pull me the population of Gaza. I believe it's right at 1 million, but I want to make sure my memory serves. Pull me the population of Gaza, please. Thank you. So, all of that is happening, and I want to go over all the developments here in a moment. 1.5 million. Imagine 1.5 million people huddled in a caveman-level existence with no industry, no jobs, and almost no food, and they can't get food. And for a few hours today, Egypt opened their border, and tens of thousands were there waiting and streamed across. I mean, the people want out. No one will let them out. The Arab countries are using them as a political set piece against Israel. Israel wants that land. And, I mean, those Arabs have been there for hundreds of years, folks. But don't worry, they want to leave. They can't leave. And, yeah, there are militants that are engaging in a guerrilla war against Israel. And Israel goes in there with high-tech tanks and white phosphorus and jet aircraft and blew the daylights out of Gaza 18 months ago.